Alright guys, welcome back to another reaction video. My name is James.
Ninetailedbrush.
And today we are going to be watching The Haunting of Bly Manor, episode 9. So this is the final episode of the season. We're not doing it at night because scheduling, we couldn't. Sorry, the setting may not be as appropriate. But I still think it's fine. So yeah, we found out the origins of Bly. And now we're kind of coming back to the present with Danny still getting, like, about to be killed by the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah, like we found out a lot more last episode, but we didn't progress actually.
Yeah.
We were still at the same spot. So what is gonna happen?
So we're still stuck on the same cliffhanger. Do you have any idea how this is gonna all round off?
I mean,
because remember, this is a story, right?
So
there's still that part of it.
I was thinking, okay, who lived, right? Because I'm assuming some people lived and possibly the person telling the story is one of the characters or something like that.
Possibly.
Or, so, yeah, I have no idea, though, because...
Yeah, so all questions will be answered at the end of the show. Okay. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us with this show. I don't believe we're going to be continuing any other horror shows because this was kind of an extra thing because there were so many fans of Hill House. But, yeah, thank you for joining us. It's been really cool. As always, the last full-length reactions are going to be up on Patreon if you guys want to go check that out and support us. And yeah, let's just get into this one.
I want to help them. But you can't. No. And why is that? I'm slipping away. You have to help me. I said I was. Help them. You must help me.
Yeah, the real, Owen's still real.
All of us.
Yeah.
And the poor dude is going to be so heartbroken. He just lost his mom.
We both know you're not so selfish. To remain hidden in the memory.
Thing is,
how...
no one has ever, gotten out of this.
Yes. But, I mean, nobody, Hannah's ever existed either.
It's true.
Oh, that's just evil.
Let her go.
Is she gonna take Flora, maybe? Because she thinks it's her kid?
Yeah, because
she did that with the
other kid,
yeah.
But now what?
Yeah, oh, maybe he's gonna do something because he thinks it's...
No, but I mean, can you not see Rebecca?
Oh, screw you, Peter. Oh, shit,
yeah,
I forgot.
he was coming back.
I totally
forgot. That was a while back.
And this is his kid.
Put her down.
Oh my gosh. She's like an unstoppable force, though. What do you do? Go!
Go! You have to.
Go, 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 go!
It's okay, sweetheart. You won't feel it.
What?
I'll feel it for you.
Oh, she's gonna...
I'll just tuck you away one last time.
Mummy.
Hannah, darling. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's you! It's me! It's us! It's us. When he checks the well, please tell Owen I'm sorry. Tell him I love him. And the rest, it's just...
Oh, dang, that's cool.
That was cool.
I forgot about that. But what did she do? It's almost like she invited the lady into herself.
And without her, there's no gravity well.
Yeah. Without her spirit. I mean, good for Danny.
The au pair invited Viola into herself, and all of the spirits trapped defect in her gravity were released.
Uncle Henry!
What?
Bro, you better take care of these kids, man.
Sorry, kid. Hannah, where's... Where's Hannah?
And because there's no gravity, right? Like there's no way she could.
It was assumed she died accidentally. An unfortunate stumble.
Daddy knew how to sew.
Oh, very well, in fact.
Will you teach me how to sew pouches into things?
If you like.
Do you have any other stories, Uncle Henry?
About your father? Yes, I do. A lot.
I mean, look, Uncle Henry, in a weird way, can redeem himself if he takes care of these kids. Because it's like, look, Floris' his kid, but also it was his brother. He's their uncle, you know what I mean? And there is no one else.
I mean, at the end of the day,
And Bella, he insisted on cleaning her himself, which he managed with a soft towel, soap scented with lavender, the greatest of care. He stayed at her side until she was buried.
I feel the worst for Owen, to be honest. That stinks, dude. He was such a just like normal, genuine guy.
I feel in here so quiet, so quiet. Part of her that's in here, it isn't peaceful. This angry, empty, lonely beast. It's watching me. She's waiting. At some point, she's gonna take me.
I mean, that's horrible.
Your company.
America, I think.
To a small house that isn't giant and creepy.
yes.
Are you sure you want to give me this one?
You must have it. It's you.
Is she gonna be able to leave?
I don't know. Guess so.
Yeah.
Let's keep trying.
Because, I mean, she is still alive. It's
Yeah.
the ones that aren't.
I mean, dude, you
can't-
never know
Yeah.
at this point,
In a
right?
few weeks we could take. I think we should plan, Christmas. It's a ways away.
One day at a time.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I feel like you can't.
Just being realistic.
You can't, because it's like you could do that if you didn't have an impending ghost. Like I could do that and be like, well, what if I die tomorrow?
Because everyone.
I can't plan
yeah.
for Christmas. Like it's like,
Everyone
Yes,
has impending death.
but you have to live in the present and then just plan for the future. Like you have to,
Yeah.
to function like the future will go on until something else comes up.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's the only way to live. Or you're not living. You're just like dreading the future, right?
Exactly. You can't be doing that.
The days turned to months. The months to more. And before the au pair knew it, a year had passed. A trip around the sun. 3, 4, 5 years would pass.
Kind of reminds me of some of those like crazy cancer cases too, you know, where they gave them like 3 months to live and they end up living like 6 or 7 more years.
Well, there's your problem. Your roots. Danny, why is there...
Here's the thing. You're my best friend. And I know we can't technically get married, but I also don't really care. We should wear the rings and we'll know. Okay? And that's enough for me. If it's enough for you.
What is going to happen?
We don't know, right? It's just it's an idea. It's a if the beast in the jungle catches her, it's a I don't know. I would assume, right? Like look at Peter and look at Jessel. It's probably some sort of like possession or something, right? Freaking Owen's got his own restaurant, right? Look at this place.
I'm happy with they'll come in and I'll have their order ready. And there's something in knowing you make a place that people like to come back to.
Nice. And no one's lodged any complaints about the name?
To Hannah. To Hannah.
Now, something is really interesting. Do you think that Danny is living a better life than she would have if she didn't know she was gonna be swallowed up, so to speak?
Henry, Miles, Flora. Flora's boyfriend.
Flora's got a boyfriend. She's 12.
Fully. No, that's what's interesting. They don't remember anything about it.
Nothing.
No. It's just the kids. Henry still. It's been this way a while, turns out.
So, well, if they don't remember Hannah, they don't remember. So they've just forgotten it all.
Well, they know they used to stay in Bly when they were children.
Yeah, but that's so sad because they don't remember any of the joy of it either. Like, they don't remember Hannah or Danny or...
I mean, by the signs of it, they're thriving. I might say, just let them be. Let them live their lives the way they should, without anything hanging over them. They deserve that.
You notice Danny's eyes are 2 different colors now?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Jesus. What's going on? Are you okay? What happened? It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Sybil.
This is looking sketchy.
Look at the water.
Looks like Danny.
Bro. That's such a cool shot.
Danny. 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 It's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. All the water. I didn't realize. It's okay. What was easy to clean up? I'm so tired, Jamie.
Yeah, dude, she's... any day now, right?
It's like I see you in front of me. And I feel you touching me. And every day, we're living our lives. I'm not even scared of her anymore. I just stare at her.
I mean, there could be like a danger factor too, right?
Just-
Like,
yeah, I'm wondering, like, okay,
like
so
Viola
if
is not a stable ghost.
yeah,
She's
if
not
she
a nice
does
ghost.
Take over, like, what's her goal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, you can't just. This isn't the same as like.
The au pair knew the moment had come. The beast had lurked indeed, and the beast, at its hour, had sprung. She willed it with everything she had. You, me, us. Take me with you, she cried. In fact, no one would ever be taken again. And no one has been taken to this day.
It's like almost like she sacrificed her life to save however
Yeah.
many thousands, right?
That could have
To
been
like
trapped.
to mute this evil force.
For the rest of her days, the gardener would gaze into reflections, hoping to see her face, her own lady in the lake. Like Viola before her, like the children, she too would forget her past.
Back to square one.
She would know nothing of the gardener, nothing of their life together. I'm sorry. I told you. The story wasn't exactly short.
My God. Get a peek of this lady in the lake?
No. I expect if you were to fly to England, you would find no such place by that name. If you were to find the man alone,
I think I'll stay here a moment.
You okay?
I'm perfect. Just enjoying the fire.
I love you.
Love you so. I liked your story. And I'm glad. I think you set it up wrong just in the beginning.
is that so?
Yeah. You said it was a ghost story. It isn't.
No?
It's a love story. I just keep thinking about that silly, gorgeous, insane man I'm marrying tomorrow. I love him more than I ever thought I could love anybody. I start getting really, really terrified that he's gonna, before I do, and then what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just live a life that he's not in?
You shouldn't be thinking of losing each other at all. Don't let that hang over your happiness right now. Enjoy that easy silence with him.
Yep.
Tis rare what you've got.
It's a funny coincidence, I suppose. My middle name is Flora.
Is that right? Huh.
Yep. So, that's it. I mean, you kind of called I didn't see the story reveal at all, to be honest, when I watched it. But you kind of called that early on.
The story reveal, as in,
Like the lady telling the story was one of the people in the story.
I was thinking that because I was thinking like that's why they would have the storytelling in the beginning, possibly.
Yeah.
And then towards the end there, I was like, oh, okay, I was starting to figure out like, okay, she might be, because her accent obviously was English, and then
it's like a specific part of England too. I'm sure somebody could say what it is, but it's like clearly a unique
I was like,
English
okay,
accent that's the same. Yeah.
And then after looking at like the bride, right, I was like, oh, okay.
But then at the same time, she's American, so it kind of throws you, right?
Yeah, I was like, what's gonna happen? But then she started acting a little bit like Flora, and I was like, could she be Flora?
Now, to be honest, this is a little thing. I actually wish they had literally shown you. I think it would have been a little better if they had just like
let it,
where you were like, I think, but you're never like really sure. They kind of just
that
like,
would
let
have
it
been
sit.
better 100%.
Because you were pretty sure, but you weren't like.
I wasn't confirmed.
Yeah,
right?
And I kind of liked that. But I mean, that's just like a little.
Yeah,
thing.
when the one dude was like, oh, look at the time, yeah, I better go. I was like, oh, dude, that's Owen. Because I was looking at him, and he kind of looks like Owen if he grew older. And then the
darker skin.
Once he put his hand on her shoulder, I was like, oh, dude, that's him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I
thought it was cool though.
It's cool because I like how she set up the story, like that possibly, some parts might have been altered or something like that, right? It was kind of like, she was telling a story, and a lot of it was probably true, but there was also parts that she was hiding.
That's what I'm wondering what you think. Okay, because watching it again, I was like, okay, is there some like deeper message in there about like is there a reason why the kids forgot beyond like the story? Like I'm trying to wonder if there's like something there.
I mean, it makes me think like,
because like I feel like I've done that with my child. Like a lot of times you really just live in your present, and you'll like look at old pictures or something, and it like you're like, oh my gosh, like that's right. I used to think about this, and it's like it is really like a completely different thing.
I feel like it's kind of just natural, right? I feel like that was one of the running themes of like, you end up kind of not completely forgetting, but like it ends up being like a blur, after time. And you remember certain parts, but a lot of times you don't remember the very specific details or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like, it was like a part of their childhood, but as they grow older, they're since they're living out their life, they tend to forget a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was, like I said, a running theme, especially with the whole, the dementia thing, and then her slipping away, Danny, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously they said it, they're like, oh, it's not a horror, it's a love story.
Yeah.
Which I think is true, but honestly, I think there's a much heavier theme about, like, death and then living. Like, I think it's much more a show about death and a show about living.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's cool, because the entire, like if you look at all the ghosts, it's all about even I'm blanking on her name. Who's the lady who liked Owen?
Hannah.
Even Hannah, she like didn't want to die. And then you see Peter, who didn't want to die, but even them, there's a variation, right? Peter ultimately acted selfishly because he didn't want to die, whereas Hannah accepted her death, and it's almost like she stuck around so that she could still like help
the
them.
living, right?
Yeah, so it was like she was alive because she cared so much, and because death is scary. But he was just alive because, like, even in death, he was still like taking almost. Because like you could tell, like he apologizes to Miles because I feel like he recognizes that he did wrong. I mean, and in that moment, he says, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the end, I feel like he just knows, like, it was wrong to do it. It was selfish. But, yeah, I mean, he just really wanted to cling to that bit of life that he could have had, kind of.
And I wonder how much of the uncle's life with the children was benefited because he died for a second. Like, he saw, I mean, you hear people talk, obviously, like, about near-death experiences, like, all the time like that. Like, I wonder if, obviously he went to check on them, but I wonder if that affected, because it seemed like they lived well after that, right?
Well, he became sober, and
so I wonder if that, like, moment kind of served as a moment of clarity.
Could have. I mean, all it takes is a moment, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that it could have, really pushed him to change, to try to do something better. And I think, he did at that moment.
But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to go back to the idea that I mentioned about Danny. So, like, obviously, I think that the whole message of that is kind of cool. And you see Danny start out, like, running from her past.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I wonder, do you think that, like, because she understood that she might die, that she lived, like, those last, 7 years? Like, that she lived a better life because she wasn't living it in fear, but she was just living. Like, she was like, look, I could die at any moment, or whatever you want to call it, for the sake of speaking about it. I could die at any moment, like, so let me live, like, unencumbered, essentially. Like, let me not, like let's not lie, or like live your best life, to use a very cliche phrase.
It's kind of hard to say, because, like, if you want to get down to it, what is better living, right? If you just want to say living. So let's say she didn't know that she was going to die. Would she have lived a better life? Even if it may not have been the most, I don't know, like, rich or fulfilling life, because, like, she doesn't know that she's going to die, so she might, wander. She might laze around a bit as far as, like, living goes, right? And doing what you want to do.
I think that's the message that a lot of people would take. But see, what I take out of it is, it's like, it sounds so morbid. I've listened to a lot of people who've had near-death experiences. But I've heard some people talk about the idea of, like, not necessarily living a better life as in I'm gonna eat cotton candy every day and McDonald's and, like, screw it, but it is truly living, like, a fuller, like, more fulfilling life, right? Because so often, like, I even do this, where you're like, oh, I'll deal with this issue, I'll talk to this parent, I'll be nice to this person tomorrow. Like, I feel like it was more, at least to me, that's why I think the, like, idea of this show is really cool, and the message is kind of cool, is because I feel like that is part of the message. Is like, it's not saying, like, do whatever you want because you may die tomorrow, but it is, like, reminding you almost that it's like, look, we all may die tomorrow, and you should be familiar with that, you should be aware of that, and you should live like that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, like I said before, was, like, it depends on what you think is true living, kind of, right? Because if she didn't know that she was going to die, like, most people know that don't know anything about their death, obviously, right? So they usually just live kind of, nonchalantly. Yeah, they will put things off. They won't do certain things because, I'll do it next year or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you knew you were going to die next year, you would push yourself to do things that you normally wouldn't do. You would be like, hey, I've always wanted to do this. you know. But I've always been too just, you know, I don't know, afraid, or, you know, I just want to keep more comfortable. But now that I know I'm gonna die, I do want to do this, you know, and I want to do this before I die.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, apologize to this person because, you know, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
But it's like that also comes with a certain weight, knowing that you're gonna die at some point or soon, right? Because then you're obviously in her earlier years. She kind of was still stressing about it, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like it. You know.
But I feel like for the middle period, like the period they showed us the most of like her really truly being happy, I feel like she did kind of quote unquote forget. Which
Yeah.
I feel like some of the point is like, look, be aware of it. Don't be afraid of it. Be aware of it. And live like it may happen tomorrow. But then on the other end of it, don't be living every day being like, I could die when I go on the freeway.
Yeah.
Like, the cars go so fast.
It's like, yeah, you don't. I think the message, at least, that I got from it was like, yeah, you live day to day, you know, and you don't worry about when you're gonna die, when you're possibly gonna, you know, whatever, yeah, pass on, but you don't want to live your life fearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, because with her, you know, obviously there was an impending doom, but I feel like that could be translated to anybody, right? Everybody,
I mean,
has a
Jamie
certain,
literally said it too. She's like, that's everybody. And
Yeah.
she's right.
everybody does have, you know, death is there, and it's going to take you at some point. You don't know when, but keeping that in mind will allow you to, you know, live life more,
Fully. Yeah.
and not like, like you said, not like, you know, do
Like
whatever you want.
superficially, like truly living life.
Yeah, do the things that you want to do. You need to push yourself, and don't put it off till next time, because either the person that you want to interact with will die, or you will die, and that's just how it is, you know. And I do like that sort of philosophy of living day to day and trying to live it as if it might be your last.
Yeah, which is why I feel like I don't even know about this is really like, we analyze these episodes. That's the fun part about it. I think there might be even something in there with Peter and Viola, right? Like the idea that, especially Peter, right? Peter, in a very watered down sense, lived his life to take. Like a very like, let me buy this rich car, let me do this thing, you know, what we're saying not to do, which I feel like isn't the message of the story. And so in his death, there was this ultimate A, lack of peace, and B, lack of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing there. And even maybe with Viola, like,
Maybe.
I don't know, we didn't see enough really of her. It was kind of more of a summary. But like that lack of peace with death, like that almost like striving against death to a fault, left her with this anger and this hatred, and like literally kept her alive, like as this kind of like empty shell, but like there was nothing there. Whereas when Danny took over, like when Danny became, or whatever part of her became, the Lady of the Lake, like there was peace.
Yeah, I mean, there was a certain, it was not of taking, it was of, you know, for the purpose of helping, right?
Yeah.
Or saving others. And I think that even though, you know, to a point you could call, Viola, you know, you could respect her stubbornness in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a problem if, just like anything, it goes too far, and she, as far as death goes, would not accept it, you know. And I feel like the show really, it kind of
Explored that.
explored this sort of acceptance of being dead, you know. You are dead, and that's just the reality of the situation, and you can't run from it.
No. Yeah. And I mean, look, we talked about this earlier too. I think it's Danny's a hard main character because for the majority of the show she's very passive. Like she doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but like she doesn't like think. If you think about the story, she doesn't do. She becomes the au pair. There's the different things that happen, but a lot of stuff. There's more things happening to her than she is necessarily like. Let me go out and kill the lady of the lake. Not that she needed to literally do that, but you get what I mean. But actually, which makes it a little bit difficult because it's not your common protagonist, so to speak. But then at the same time, if you do think about it, there is kind of a cool arc in the end there, because I almost feel like her arc is she is a passenger in her own life, and then in like saving Flora, she finally does act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is actually kind of cool if you think about it, where it's like, this is the first, like, she's been running from the memory and her guilt and all these different kind of things, and this is the first time that she truly acts.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like her arc. Like the completion of which is different. It's very different, and like in hindsight I'm like, oh, I gotta give the show credit. I don't know if it works completely. Like, personally, I think this is not even an unpopular opinion. I preferred The Haunting of Hill House.
No, yeah.
I think that the characters, just all of them, were a little bit more fleshed out. And I kind of wish that the characters in this show had been a little more fleshed out. And then there's also just the challenge of doing a sequel, if you could call it this. Is like, it's so hard. Once the original sets that standard, it's almost impossible to meet that standard.
Well, the thing is, you can meet that standard, but people will still look at it as less because it's not the first time they've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? So Haunting of Hill House did a very unique style, and they did it very well.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very hard to, because you need to top it in order for it to be, fairly impressive.
Yeah, and there were times, I think, a little bit with the show where I felt them trying a little bit to top it.
Yeah, I mean, it was
whereas I think they should have just kind of been a little bit confident in their idea and run with it. Where there were a few times where I was like, okay, you guys are really trying to be Hill House
again, yeah,
a little bit, which is understandable. But I feel like that took away from it a little bit, as opposed to kind of just being like, this is not Hill House. This is definitely different, but we're gonna own this idea.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was a little bit. It was a little bit slow at first, right?
Yeah,
a little bit slow, and then it was hard to see kind of the overarching goals and things like that at times, and it was unclear as where we were gonna go.
Yeah, I think it started off a little bit almost it's almost like there was like a prologue and then like an epilogue, and then there's like the main body of the show, which was like what, 4, 5, 6, 7 ish.
And the thing is,
which is fine, but it throws you off if you're not expecting that sort of a structure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of comparing it to Hill House
a little
bit, right? Because Hill House it wasn't as slow, and everything revolved around the characters and their actions. Whereas here, it was a little bit. I feel like we had the main character, and she didn't do as much, right?
Yeah.
Then we had more side characters, and they did more than what I would normally expect of them. And then it kind of indulged more of the backstory and the lore instead of the main characters and their actions and interactions with each other.
Whereas Hill House, I feel like, instead of dragging a little bit in the opening, what Hill House did is they explored their characters in the present in the opening, and then as the show went on, they explored the lore, and then they brought everything, like, they were like almost side missions, like Theo goes off and deals with the whole smiling man thing, and like there's almost like side missions where it helped you really hone in on these characters.
Yeah, it was about the character.
So then also, as the conflict ramped up and the tension ramped up, you really care about these people.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just a little slow in the beginning. There were some times I felt like it was a little bit unclear and, unclear a bit, that's all. But
overall, it's decent.
Overall,
right?
I liked it. It was
like,
good.
I do think they come around, and it is kind of cool. And I do like a lot of the ideas about, like love and death and how you deal with death. It's kind of a cool idea to capture, I think.
Yeah, and I do really like the ending of it.
Yeah, it's a cool full circle.
Yeah, that was really cool, and I like her sort of. I feel like she kind of left it. It's like, could it have been altered a bit? Like, maybe.
Oh, the actual story?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
'cause
true.
the way that
Jamie
she
isn't like an
kinda-
unreliable narrator, but
No.
she's not necessarily fully like factual
But
either.
in the end, she's telling a story. So
Yeah.
it could, like, let's say, it could have been just like a very normal story without any,
Ghosts?
ghosts, but she was telling it in a way that was, that she could implement these sort of ghosts.
That's kind of interesting, actually. I never thought about it like that.
She tried to keep some things hidden, maybe like the manor itself, and whatever. But
Yeah, that's true. Which is cool. That actually kind of adds a whole other cool level to it.
I don't know,
But
who
yeah,
knows?
let us know what you guys thought. Obviously, thank you for joining us on this journey. Throw some ideas, comments, suggestions. Sorry, not suggestions. I mean, you can throw suggestions. Discussions, different things like that in the comments. Obviously, go for it. That's the fun part about these things. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining us on this series. And we will see you all, hopefully, in another video if you guys decide to stick around.